Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to another live stream. Of course, as you guys can tell, today we are talking about Jonathan Anderson's Dior debut, which is interesting. There's a lot of stuff to talk about, whether the business side or creatively. So this will actually be a very long one. But how is everyone doing in the chat? I hope you guys are doing really good. You guys are already having a whole full-blown conversation in the chat. That's crazy. Okay, some people like the debut, some people didn't really like it. Yeah, sorry, I've been in Paris. I'm actually in Paris right now. So that's why I've not been streaming a lot or making a lot of videos because I just don't have the time to. I'm filming a lot of content, but I don't have time to sit down and edit anything. But this debut was way too important for me to miss. So I am streaming in Paris, even though the internet is horrible. This stream might literally break down at God knows when. It's not like at home in London where I have my whole setup and stuff. So anyway, let's talk about JW Anderson. Enough rambling. So first we have to really look at how exactly did we get here? Kind of what happened before the show happened. And then after that, you know, what were the actual ideas in the collection? So I think we'll look at those three things. So I think with the first point in terms of how exactly did we get here, we all know that JW Anderson left Loewe, and because of that, there was a lot of speculation around where would he go, who's going to take over at this brand, at that brand, at that brand. There was, of course, a rumor that Maria Grazia-Chiuri would be leaving Dior, which obviously eventually happened. Kim Jones left Dior. Shortly after which, you know, JW Anderson was announced as the person replacing Kim Jones. And then later on, when Maria Grazia-Chiuri left, he was announced as the overall creative director of men's and women's collections. Now, fashion in general is in a bit of a tough spot, right? Because fashion, especially like LVMH, it just came out, the reports recently, I'm sure a lot of you saw it, that there's a luxury downturn. There's a luxury slowdown overall in the luxury market. So right now, there's really a struggle. So that was a big thing that JW Anderson really wanted to tackle. And it's something that there's a great interview that he did with Women's Wear Daily before the show actually happened, where he talked about all the ideas that he had and also the reasons why he thinks, you know, the luxury slowdown happened, also what he thinks he can do to kind of fix the issue. So I have a few quotes. Can't even speak. I wasn't speaking all day, interviewing people in Paris. But he had a few quotes essentially talking about how he plans to rebuild Dior. So to quote him directly, he said, "You cannot rebuild a house in one show. It's impossible. You'd have to be like Christ," which is quite funny. It's kind of him also saying no one should be on his head for him not, you know, bringing Dior back to what people expect it to be financial performance-wise overnight. And to quote him further on, he said, "It's going to take 5 collections to break the cycle of it, and then you kind of birth out a vision from it. So for me, it is a process of decoding the brand, and then from that, we hope to end up with a solution." So he says that he has sort of a 5-year timeline in terms of bringing Dior out of this luxury slump and this luxury slowdown, which was a very interesting thing to hear from him. Also, in this interview with Women's Wear Daily, he actually talks about his ideas for the collection. I will summarize because I don't want to go too deep into it. I think all of you should just read the article. But essentially, the collection is built on 3 pillars. So the first pillar is historical garments. He was really looking at 18th century garments. And actually, in this interview, he said he got the Dior team to replicate a few 18th century garments. So that's one of the core pillars of the collection. Another core pillar was he was looking at, you know, and heavily inspired by 3 couture dresses from the early Dior archives. So, of course, you have the Caprice, the Kigao, and the Delft, right? Those were the 3 couture things that he was looking at. He also looked at this idea of high and low, right? Norm core staples. And to quote him, he said that he was very inspired by this idea of class and kind of what classism means and kind of how do we view classism with the way that we dress in the modern day, considering that, and this goes back into the 18th century inspirations that we'll look at, but when you look at court dress, whether that's in France, in England, there were very strict rules. I've talked about this before. I recently went to an exhibition that's all about court dressing in British history, right? It's happening right now in the Kensington Palace. If you guys are in London, you should definitely check out that exhibition. It's great. But in that exhibition, for example, they talk about all the different rules, and there was a rule book that really determined the length of, your dress, or you weren't allowed to enter the court, right? Or all the different rules that they had for men or for women. And there was a very, very big class signifier in terms of what you wear. And when you look at, the current day in modern society, some rich people try to dress like they're homeless. Is really weird. And so it's kind of harder to tell people's social class based on the way they dress. Of course, there are some ways. Everyone right now is obsessed with this whole quiet luxury thing as a concept, but to be very honest, it's not the same as it was before. So that's why when you look at the collection, he's mixing these very historical 18th century pieces with jeans and sneakers, right? It's kind of a play on social class and the fact that even the highest of society people now, they wear kind of what is considered low class or low society clothing, like workwear and stuff. So that was a very interesting concept that he brought to the collection. But anyway, before the collection even happened, we did get these teasers, kind of understanding what his ideas of the brand were going to be. Of course, we had these Andy Warhol portraits. It's quite funny because the Mbappe campaign basically mirrors what Jean-Michel Basquiat was wearing in this look. Is literally like a blue shirt. The tie is red and blue. Mbappe's tie is red and blue. The blazer's gray. So it's kind of like giving you an idea that he's really looking into the archives, but also inspired by art and film and photography, which is nothing new. When you think of J.W. Anderson, if we're thinking about Loewe, that's all he did. He, even at his namesake label, he references books and art history and films and photography. So that to me came as no surprise. Even the tote bags, the different films and books that he was referencing, nothing surprising there. Of course, people are already talking about the eggs as an invitation. Now, I would just tell you what the inspiration was, but Luc Prigent expertly actually interviewed J.W. Anderson. So I will play that for all of you rather than just kind of telling you what the inspiration is. So let's play this quickly.
Invitation is a plate that I found in the archive, which was done many years ago, with eggs. They had some with fish, they had some with different things. In France, it's kind of like a thing. In the 18th century, there's amazing ones at the Louvre where you have like fish and, and it became very popularized. Weirdly, when I saw it in the archive, I was kind of like, one of my favorite paintings, which is by Freud, which is a painting that he did for the Duchess of Devonshire, which is a plate with just eggs on it. What? And he dropped it on her doorstep, and it reminded me of that. And I was like, okay, eggs, the starting of something. And I quite like that it goes back to the painting, because if you put it on your window ledge and you take a picture of it, it looks like a still life. Is it a painting? Is it not a painting? Is it real? Is it not real? And it's very French, ultimately.
So yeah, that's very interesting. To add more context to it, it's very known that Christian Dior himself was a big foodie. There are so many articles, and it's well documented that, Christian Dior used to keep his recipes, and actually they were actually released to the public eventually, 15 years after his passing, a kind of like a book of his recipes, right? So it kind of ties into the history of the brand again. We see that J.W. Anderson is looking very deep into the archives and seeing different ways that he can imbue his playfulness and his very satirical touch to the brand, while also being true to the heritage of the brand. So that was kind of some deep lore that J.W. Anderson was picking at there, having the eggs as part of the invitation. There's someone saying Jonathan looks tired. I mean, he's working hard. I'm sure he is very tired after all of that, to be honest. Someone is saying, I like how the French make their scrambled eggs. I saw someone earlier saying that Demna essentially has used the idea of, class and playing with kind of what people of different classes wear. Has Demna done that? Yes. He did it in an extremely different way, though, one. And two, it's not that unique of an idea. Many designers have played with the idea of, class signifiers as a way of dress. That's nothing new. That's nothing per se unique. But I think that his take on it was very Dior, and his take on it was very different because it's looking at it through the lens of a lot of like French tropes historically in fashion, like French court dress and the way that French people used to wear bow ties, like what they call cravats and stuff like that. So it's a very different way that he's doing it, to be very honest. But yeah, let's have a look at the runway show, and let's have a little watch party going on. So first of all, I might pause this a lot because there's a lot to go through when it comes to this show. But with this first look, so many things going on here. A lot of things are going on here. First of all, he's referencing a bar suit, which is the basis of when you think about Dior. When you think about Dior, of course you think about the new look. When you think about the new look, what's that image that goes into your mind? It's the bar suit. So this is a bar suit for men. And I like the way that it's been constructed. Jonathan Anderson actually said himself that they constructed it like a very typical menswear suit, right? So they've kind of used like what you would use in tailoring, where you have a canvas suit where you feature different layers of canvas. They're stitched into the jacket to cover the chest area and the lapels. And that's what gives shape to a menswear jacket, right? So he's used that to kind of shape the jacket rather than the traditional way of doing it because it's a menswear show. And even though he's repurposing the bar suit for menswear because it's not originally a menswear thing, he's using menswear techniques. That was interesting. The colors stood out to me also because Jonathan Anderson is Irish and there are lots of Irish takes in this collection. The fact that it's even green and then the shorts are white is an ode to the Irish flag. All we're missing is orange, of course. That was also something that I found really interesting. And then the actual ties, I saw lots of people saying that they look like neck braces mixed with bow ties. Now, I completely disagree, especially because J.W. Anderson essentially spoon-fed us information and told us where a lot of his ideas are coming from. Now, when you look at 18th century French dress, even if you just look at the history of bow ties in general, in the 17th and 18th century, bow ties are something that are very heavily tied with French fashion because at the time, French fashion was really at the forefront of fashion. Also, the way that they used to dress really used to influence a lot of other European countries. And they had a very specific way of tying their bow ties where they would tie the fabric all around their neck and then tie it into a knot. So I think that it's kind of just a visual play on the way that they used to tie their cravats back then in the 18th century. Like if you look at kind of here, all the images of how exactly they're doing it. So I don't really see the neck brace at all. I just think it's more of a historical reference than anything else, to be honest. Also, the volume of the shorts are kind of trying to mimic the skirts from the new look, but it's kind of doing it in a modern way. And that's a very key theme in this collection, right? It's taking very historical pieces and seeing ways that you can modernize them. Very Demna, like someone mentioned earlier. It's also a very J.W. Anderson thing to do too, where he has this kind of playful take on very historical references. Even if you look at the references to Ireland, once again, the fisherman's sandals, that's very Irish once again. So it's a mixture of modern takes, historical references, and then his own heritage to give it a personal touch. But let's continue. And I think you guys will see, but moving on across some of the next looks, he then kind of played more on this idea of high and low and mixing like ancient techniques with modern silhouettes and modern garments. So as you look at the collection, you'll see those. And like I said earlier, he literally got the Dior atelier to quite literally replicate 18th century garments, like one for one. I don't know exactly what references they use, but I guess you just have to look at the show and then see what's there. Also or let me pause it. This was something else that stood out to me when I watched it the first time. Now, if you guys remember, Kim Jones, when Kim Jones had his Dior debut, it was like this massive thing, and there was this massive set with the whole cause thing going on, right? And it's it's a very different vibe to what JW Anderson is doing. I believe there were 3 paintings, and they're very historical paintings by painters who are not very respected but not well known, which is in stark contrast to when you think of the likes of Kim Jones. Kim Jones had a very famous and pop culture artist and cause to work with. So the vibe is different. The intentions are completely different. That was just very interesting to look at as a concept. When I was in grad school, I'd take the theatre costumes, apartment ties, and wear them as part of a daily fit. That's really cool. That's really cool. We are going on. Here you can see once again the mixture of the different silhouettes, and then the bow tie, the fisherman sandals once again, the denim going on. Once again, even like, it looks like a normal dinner jacket, but historically, a lot of jackets that you would wear in the evenings had that detail where at the back it would sit a lot lower. So once again, it's mixing like a modern silhouette of a dinner jacket with features from historical times, especially the 18th century. Mani said it's the death of the streetwear era. I guess you can kind of see it that way, right? Because it's completely serious. It's more serious. It's more subdued this time. It's not, you know, super pop culture and, you know, streetwear completely. Someone is asking me, do I like this runway layout? Do you mean in terms of the set? I mean, to be honest, I like when models walk for a really long time because it gives us a chance to take in the clothing. I would actually prefer if the models were walking a lot slower, because it would allow us to really see the details in the garments a lot better, to be honest. Yugi Nation is saying it's more classy. This stood out to me a lot too, because once again, in the interview with Menswear Daily that I was referencing, JW Anderson really did talk about the fact that there is a focus on them actually building Dior commercially. So pieces like this are ultra commercial. Like there were, you know, looks in this collection that, for lack of a better term, I did find a bit boring. Maybe boring is not the right word, but it was just like a sweater and sneakers and a short. There were a lot of looks like that, but it's understandable because the intention, as much as it is to, you know, bring JW Anderson's playfulness and the surrealism references and stuff like that, it's also Dior has to sell. And so you can clearly see the intentions a lot through this collection. The design of the merchandising will be lackluster in this era. We just have to see about that. We have to see about that. I'm sure it's the return of the romantic period, given the uncertain times with everything that's going on. Yeah. Luke is going crazy. The fact they built a fake gallery is so gross. This goes to show how old-fashioned it is. It's a simulacrum of something better. No, I think, Luke, I think you're a bit of a pessimist. I think Luke just thinks that all fashion right now is shit. Are there elements of this collection that I like 100%? Do I like the ultra commercial pieces or just the ultra commerciality of the whole thing? Not necessarily. This here is a very JW Anderson thing, right? It's taking something ordinary and then just kind of making it not right. The fact that the tie is the wrong way around, and also the tag is also the wrong way around too, because the tag is supposed to be on the other side. That's, you know, typical JW Anderson, taking something normal and mundane and kind of switching it to make you look and make you think and make you talk, build a conversation. But if anything, if there's anything we know that JW Anderson can sell garments. It's why he's at Dior. It's why Bernard Arnault is trusting him with one of the big brands in the first place. It feels like non-existent Miu Miu men. Interesting. Here we have some waistcoat references, once again, to the 18th century, mixing those with white jeans and sneakers. That's another reference to this idea that JW Anderson wanted to bring forth, which is this idea of high-low. Once again, another 18th century waistcoat reference. The ties, once again, the bow ties with more modern wide trousers and then bathroom slippers, basically. Homeware slippers. Someone is saying, where are the belts? Also, Danny, if you want to hop in the live, I can definitely send you a link. Share your thoughts on the collection. I don't know if you're free right now, but yeah, I can share. I'll share it in the chat, and then you can join if you ever so wish. But here, once again, you can see the ultra commerciality of a lot of these pieces, like a green t-shirt that just says Dior, and then you have jeans. Once again, they've done a styling trick there where one of the legs is rolled up and then one of them isn't, so it just kind of looks a bit more interesting. They've done the exact same thing with the undershirt once again, so one of the sleeves is rolled up, one of the sleeves isn't, and then of course Dior loafers. So this is an ultra commercial look, but they've kind of used styling to kind of make it more interesting and add the bow tie. But this really is one of the more uninteresting looks to me personally. It reminds me of the styling at Prada. I can definitely see that also. I definitely see that. If I catch you wearing a bow tie and a tee. Sacrilege. Absolute sacrilege. Here, once again, we have the same style of jacket that I was talking about, referencing the 18th century. You have the fisherman sandals once again. So once you know what the three pillars of the collection are, you kind of understand everything that's going on in the collection. Obviously, there are different pieces. Of course, there are the book totes that sell really well, and he's kind of done his own version of doing it. He collaborated with an artist to make versions of them. He also made the versions that had the book references and the film references, to be honest. So those were some very interesting pieces. Of course, you can look at the pieces individually, like these crop looks here, which I thought were very interesting. A lot of people said that, let me bring it back so we can look at this again, and I'll pause it. A lot of people said that this is JW Anderson bringing camp back to Dior. I personally don't see it, but I understand where people are coming from. I don't really think that this is as camp as people are making it out to be. Would men in the 18th century wear jackets that cropped? No. But that's kind of the point of the collection. It's kind of trying to have a modern twist on historical references. Yeah, exactly. Not camp, but it's playful. I totally agree with you. I didn't really agree with the whole camp thing. Eddie Dior, we still talk about you. I saw some people online saying that there were a lot of references to Eddie Slimon's Dior. I don't see that. Like the silhouette is completely different. This is referencing the 18th century. The pleated pants are amazing. I totally agree. I also really like the wraparound trousers or pants, as Americans say, the wraparound trousers that JW Anderson made in this collection. I thought those were really interesting. Quick question to guys in the chat. What do you guys think about the book totes? Do you guys think that this playful version, instead of what Maria Grazia Curie was doing, of having, film references and book references and collaborating with artists to make the book totes, do you guys think that those will fly off the shelves? Because obviously that's the intention. I want to know what you guys think. Okay, some people are saying it's mid. Damn, that's harsh. Tough crowd. Tough crowd. Tough crowd. No, I don't hate Americans. I make fun of Americans because it's what we do. Americans make fun of Brits. Brits make fun of Americans. It's just part of our sense of humor. I love Americans. I have loads of American friends. I definitely don't hate Americans. I just make fun of Americans because it's fun. Some people take it really personally in the chat. I find it so funny. Maybe British sense of humor, a lot of people don't really understand. We just make fun of everything. But yeah, that's how we do it in the UK. Someone said I prefer the tassel bags. Yeah, the tassel bags are really cool, to be honest. Can I compare this to Kim Jones Dior? Yes, go for it. Go for it. I was already doing that because I said that the air and kind of the vibe of the collection is completely different, right? Look at the set. It's more subdued. The artwork is very historical versus Kim Jones that had this massive set with the the Kors installation going on, and there was a lot of stuff going on. This is in complete contrast. So yeah, definitely compare it. That's what I'm saying. I love your American accent. I know my American accent is terrible, but you know, we live with it. Yeah, these are the tassel bags that people are talking about that they really liked. I thought they were really cool too. I want to see them closer though, to kind of see kind of where the zips are and all of that stuff. I don't see how people see this as boring. It's fun, just not as adventurous as we usually see Anderson. Yeah, I think because obviously I'm a big fan of JW Anderson's work, whether that's at his eponymous label or whether that's at LOFA. However, I'm just so used to JW Anderson being way more playful and, you know, experimenting with more ideas. First of all, having the tie idea on every single look is a bit much. I would have liked to see him play with different tie proportions if that was kind of a thing. I think it's on way too many looks, right? So that's one. So it kind of there's way too many sneakers. It feels like you know when brands put the same sneaker on loads of looks, or when brands put the same bag on loads of looks. It's just so obvious that they're trying to push that specific piece. That's kind of how it feels watching this collection, right? That they really want to push those sneakers. So they're putting those on almost all the looks. That's literally what they're going for. Hi, Dami. How are you doing?
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Hello, can you hear me? Mic check. 2.
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
All right, great. I'm using a rented handheld mic currently. So yeah. Um. So yeah. I wanted to say the first thing I wanted to say about this collection is that JW Anderson is recession indicator maxing.
That's a crazy phrase to use, but I see what you mean.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I wanted to come in with something.
There's something pertinent.
Yeah, something substantial to say. I've been agreeing with your take so far, generally. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean
hopefully,
it's commercial. It's a commercial collection. There's no
yeah,
doubt about it. There's no mincing words about it, which is kind of the reality of what you're saying with the recession indicator thing going on, and then also also the fact that he said it. He just blatantly said it in the interview. He said, "Yeah, we have a 5-year plan where we're going to build the business of Dior." It's literally what he said.
yeah, man, pulling out by our bootstraps, isn't it? It's like we're gonna roll up our shirts, we're gonna roll up our trousers, and gonna get our hands and feet in the dirt. You know what I mean? Look at that. It's not even cut properly. Look, oh my days, I can't even tailor my trousers perfectly. Damn, recession.
But isn't that also a JW Anderson thing? Because
No, of course, no. You know me.
Obviously it's deliberate, but you know, it's just JW Anderson likes having things that are not quite right. It's like it's supposed to be normal, but then we're going to change like a really tiny thing that just makes it odd. That's his MO. That's what he's been doing at his namesake brand. It's what he's been doing at Loewe forever. So yeah, very, very usual from Jonathan Anderson.
Yeah, like it's interesting. There's a lot of interesting things. So like just to break down the recession indicator, Maxine, it's like when we're talking about the shirts, the jeans, like the denim itself, like I guess it's a big deal in LVMH now, considering LV, like Pharrell's Louis Vuitton, and now JW Anderson, they're kind of like putting a focus on it.
Pushing denim a lot, yeah. With Louis Vuitton, they were focusing on that brown
of course,
color, where they said, you know, brown is the new indigo, and they were kind of pushing that as a campaign and a phrase and the slogan they're running with. And then now we have the Dior show where there's a lot of denim also on the runway.
Yeah, and like this kind of, I don't want to compare it to Eddie Salmon, but like the Dior jeans is like a massive thing from back in the days. So I wonder if that's going to become a thing again, like in the height of a recession, like those jeans.
If I'm going to be like really critical, I don't think that the cut of the denim that I've seen in this collection is like distinctive enough for it to like be a thing. Like for like
Yeah.
Dior denim to take off like that. With Eddie Simon, I think that at the time, obviously skinnies are not unique, but at the time, Eddie Simon spearheaded kind of the trend back into skinny jeans. You know what I mean? So because he was a big part of it, that's why it became a big thing. And like Dior jeans were actually like a thing, right? Whereas there's nothing per se pertinent about the way that they're doing denim, and that's not really leading to like any sort of trend silhouette wise in a way that Dior is doing it now. So it's not the same. It doesn't have the same impact. I will say though, I do think there's a deeper reason why J.W. Anderson is using a lot of denim. Like I said earlier, a big theme that he mentioned in this collection is this idea of class and clothing as a class signifier. So that's why he's mixing 18th century garments with garments that we consider with everyday wear, right? Is this sort of high-low mix. And it also really talks about fashion of today, because fashion these days is very much like you see people mixing a lot of high-low. You see celebrities that are associated with luxury fashion, you know, doing Pretty Little Thing campaigns and brand deals and stuff. So it's kind of the world we live in. And it's also, denim is something that's associated with working class. It's like workwear. It's considered with people that, you know, are very blue collar, right? So mixing that with historical garments of people that were high society, it's kind of like a commentary on social class as a way of dress.
Yeah. And this the other thing, right? Like there's the play on that where it's like the only people that are going to be able to afford these are the people that don't aspire to luxury.
Yeah.
And it's like you're making a play on high society when in reality the only people that can buy these are high society people
I know.
and the current oligarchs, right? Obviously before it's like royalty and stuff, but now it's like the oligarchs. It's the corporate oligarchs, I should say. So yeah. It's interesting. That is really interesting though. These pair of
Yeah.
shorts, like the whole
There's
all of the
some
shorts that have been coming through, that they've been interesting to me.
Yeah, there's some other interesting references. Like I'll go back and talk about like this, for example. So this knitwear, so this knitted piece here is once again him referencing his culture. And like I said, he is, you know, sprinkling a lot of Irish references within the collection, which is something that he always does. He kind of finds a way always to imbue his heritage, to kind of make it personal to him. So that's something that I do enjoy a lot that he does. I think here it's a bit less showy and playful than he normally does. But you know, just something interesting to mention.
Yeah,
This actually is an Aran jumper, which is obviously something that's very Irish. It originates from the Aran Islands, which is part of the Republic of Ireland. So that's why he has like these sort of white cable knit jumpers across the collection.
yeah. Like for me, I, I'm just looking at them. They do look cute though. They look cute. I was just thinking though. This is what I was thinking. I was thinking like just to I don't know whether it's shooting him some bail or not, but in terms of like how playful Loewe is, I
Yeah,
feel like we're trying to compare Loewe JW Anderson to Dior JW Anderson a bit
right. But
too
it's a
much.
different brand and it's a different customer,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, that's precisely where I was going with that for sure. And it's menswear Dior. This isn't like women's wear Dior.
And I think personally that his women's wear deal is going to be way more interesting because it's women's wear. I just think that JW does women's wear
Generally,
really well.
yeah. A bit, but yeah, like just to be fair with the critique, like there some of these references are a bit on the nose. They feel a bit Pharrellish, I'll be real.
Right,
Like how it's like, oh, we're referencing the 1800s, so you're gonna see a military jacket with that's exactly like an all the other military jackets you've ever seen, and you know
right.
the styling is phenomenal. Like this is like I'm thinking the exact same things I thought about the Louis Vuitton show, isn't it? It's like the
Yeah.
styling is great, but like the references,
This
they're a
is
bit
a very JW Anderson piece we've seen, right? Where
yeah,
he's done this a lot. And this is what we know JW Anderson for, like this is a knitwear. Having the like collar, it looked like a collar, but actually it's part of the back panel, you know, all these kind of things. It looks like two pieces, but it's actually one piece. You know, that's something that He does all the time. He
Yeah,
does that
and
all
that's
the time.
playful. This is playful simplicity there. I actually do like that. And
Yeah,
the
so you can
jeans
see
are
the
nice.
the back panel there.
Oof, yeah, the trousers on the jeans on that was nice as well. Shout out to JW Anderson.
Someone said I like the casting. Yeah, to be honest, I wasn't really. I was looking at the clothes since the show has happened. I haven't really looked at the casting, but I'll definitely consider that when we go through the Vogue runway images.
He obviously didn't listen to Edna Mode when she said no capes, but it's fine. And yeah, I did say Pharrell. Unfortunately, like if I'm saying the styling is great, but like the reference.
Leah, what shoes are you talking about? The loafers, the sneakers, which ones? I mean, most of the collection they have the sneakers, so that must be what you're talking about, right? Okay,
Wait,
the sneakers, right?
doesn't this set remind you of Severance?
Oh my God, that's a really good pickup. Yeah, it does remind me of Severance. Like the light ceiling, the ceiling lights, the
Literally.
like grayness of the Severance is crazy.
Like now, if I pull it in that context, then conceptually this could be phenomenal
Yeah,
because then it's
it's
like
do you
a
know
metro.
what's even more funny?
Oh,
Considering the paintings that are on the wall, you know
yes,
how in Severance, right? They have those paintings that are
yes.
referencing what's his name? Like Kia or whatever, what's his name? The guy that they worship.
Oh yeah, yeah, Kia, yeah.
Yeah. That they have paint like just propaganda paintings of him. And this is the Dior version of that. Obviously, it's not, but it's just funny.
And they are the tiniest. The paintings on the walls are the tiniest paintings you could put on these walls.
Yeah,
Like, and tiny paintings are also a recession indicator. Like, generally, people that buy tiny paintings as their first paintings are people that can't fit massive paintings on their walls. So people go
right.
for A2 and below. Like A2 is even huge, but I'm just using that as like a reference point for anyone that knows what A2 looks like.
Yeah,
But yeah, if I pull it in the context of it, like even with these like windows and the frames and the doorway into, so you have the colored wall with the doorway into the gray, and then on the complete opposite end you have like the pink. It's like it's telling me something.
yeah. Someone was saying, I like that they're back to the classic Dior logo and got rid of the Dior uppercase from Maria Curie. Yeah, I mean, every so something that JW Anderson said that I found really interesting is that he doesn't want to completely change the aesthetic because he feels like it would be disrespectful to just kind of cancel what MGC did and kind of just completely change, which is why he continued like the book totes and like there are many elements that MGC did, but he was also looking at just the history of the brand and everyone that has been there, the likes of Yves Saint Laurent, the likes of Gianfranco Ferrer, even all the people on the menswear side, like Chris Van Ash, Kim Jones, like he's looking at every single person, Eddie Simon, and looking at what they did well and kind of trying to imbue elements of that with his own personal ideas too.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good thought. Yeah, I'm stuck on this Severance thought, to be honest.
The Severance thing, I can definitely see that. I definitely see where you're going with that. I don't think it's completely healthy for brands completely overhaul everything when they hire new. Oh yeah, I 100% agree. I think that was the big issue that I used to talk about with Gucci, because the Gucci consumer, yes, they started making less money, but it was also a luxury downturn. But they just started panicking, and they 180 the aesthetic, and now they had to find a whole new customer base. It made no sense. So yeah, I'm totally with you. I don't think it. I don't even think it makes commercial sense for those like huge mega brands to completely change the aesthetic.
No, for real. Oh, look at him.
Standing ovation from JW Anderson. New era at the brand. And of course, Dammy, do you see what I mean about them pushing these sneakers? Like, even
Yeah.
JW Anderson is wearing them.
It's a lot.
They are really pushing these sneakers. Now, funny enough, I don't know if like Dior has this power, right? But I know because when I worked with Nike, Nike are very deliberate in terms of their rollout of sneakers, and they have like plans for when certain sneakers drop. And essentially, that's why like when Jordan 1s were big, that was like deliberate. They were like, yeah, this year we're going to make Jordan 1s a thing. And they put all their money into marketing Jordan 1s. Now, I don't actually know if Dior has the cultural impact, even though they have the money, to push a shoe so much so that it just becomes a thing automatically just because they put that much money behind it. But it seems like they are really going to make the silhouette of sneaker like a main focus, like a major focus.
Is there a zoom in of the sneaker? Because they look like a skate.
There will be via Vogue.
All right. Because I actually want to see if the sneaker is like something that we would wear. If it's something that the streets would wear, then yeah. Because it's generally people that do streetwear that would wear trainers.
Do you know what they remind me of? They look like clocks.
They look like clocks, really?
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say DC trainers because they look like skate shoes to me.
They look like clocks to me. There's a silhouette of clock. I can't remember what they're called. I'd have to search. But there's a very specific silhouette of clocks. I think those shoes look exactly like. What's the silhouette called? Guys in the chat, help me out. Do you know which ones I'm talking about?
I'll look up. Like I don't mind being wrong, fairly.
No. There's a silhouette even like down to the shape, the sole. There's a silhouette of clocks specifically that look exactly like that. Now I'm actually going to go on the website and try to pull it up because I
clocks today or clocks historically? That's what I need to know.
Clocks today. Clocks today.
Oh, okay. Give me a sec.
Clocks today. What are they called again? Oh my gosh. Completely skipped my mind. But the reason why I say that is because outside of Balenciaga, none of these brands have any original ideas when it comes to footwear. So a lot of them just like make some sort of like luxury Converse or luxury Air Force One or luxury Jordan 1, and they just put Dior instead of like a Jordan or Nike logo. So most times they have a very clear reference from like a bigger footwear company.
Oh, these are like basketball shoes. Give it a sec.
Not even Wallabies. Those aren't the clocks I'm thinking of. Not Wallabies. Wallabies are the famous one. I wouldn't forget Wallabies. It's not Wallabies I'm thinking about. There's a different what are they called?
Is it a Clocks original?
I'm not sure. But it's called a Clark's Trigenic or something like that, maybe. I think. Are they Trigenics? Let me see.
Trigenic. Okay. That's interesting. I just saw a close up of the trainer.
So these kind of shoes, they kind of remind me of the Dior shoes.
That's interesting.
Like the way they've done the sole and kind of like the overall shape. Obviously, it's not completely the same. But the shape I think is quite similar.
Because they look like what's it called? They look like boxing. They got the sole of boxing shoes.
Right.
And then they've got the upper of like skate shoes. And then they've got the super massive chunky laces that like.
Do you see what I mean about the Trigenic? Even like the way the sole is and like the. I think they look very similar. The shape of the toe box even.
Yeah, they look like a beat up pair of trainers as well.
I see what you're saying about the boxing shoes. They do have that boxing shoe shape. Yeah. For sure. Like the old school, like Lonsdale, you know, the Lonsdale boxing shoes.
Them, yeah.
They kind of have that like shape, like that kind of shape to it, especially from the side view. They look very English. I mean, what can I say?
He's Irish, fairly. Maybe it's an Irish reference. Maybe it's like a shoe that he grew up with. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's a shoe that's like very popular in Ireland. What do you think about the capes, by the way?
Bear capes, fam. There's. I don't
A lot of
feel like.
capes in the collection.
Um. Is there a reason to wear capes? I think the capes are his personal touch. I don't feel like there is like a story that would be
Yeah,
purely.
I think if I was to just try and guess, first of all, I think the shape, like the silhouette that the capes create, is reminiscent of the dinner jackets that used to be worn in the 18th century. Also, what stood out to me is the fabric they're using, because they wouldn't use this kind of like, this is like a jumper fabric. They wouldn't use this kind of fabric. And then if you look at the collar, once again, it kind of looks like the sleeve, which is very J.W. Anderson thing, right? A sleeve as a neckline, you know, it's very, it's what he does. So it looks like the sleeves have kind of joined at the back to make the neckline, which is kind of what we're used to him doing. And then, of course, it's a jumper fabric. So I think it's just him trying to modernize like historical references. Um, so that's kind of why I think they're there. That's why I think it's in the collection. Here we have the ties, the wrong way around ties, I'm going to call them. I wonder if on the other side they have that, you know, that tab where when you tie a tie, you put it through so that the tie stays together. I wonder if they have that.
All right. So I just wanted to ensure that like the reference that I was thinking about um was factual. So there
Yeah,
I do remember this one thing of like there being Irish cloaks and what
yeah,
widows would wear, and they would generally wear like tweed or knitwear woven capes essentially. And it's
right.
like it's a big thing over there, like generally because of the weather for the fabric, of course. But then in terms of like how they're wearing it and the styling of their wearing it, because as we know, there's like this almost fluid sense of the way that J.W. Anderson likes to put people in things, right? Put people in clothes. Um, I do believe that that is more of a that reference rather than the historical side, namely because, like, on a historical basis, wearing capes wasn't all that major of a deal outside of like the police force, like on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah,
But
someone also said, you
yeah,
know, like the old European leaders, they did wear capes, to be fair. Even like you said, police, the military in the like armies
yeah,
historically, in their ceremonial dress, like high-ranking soldiers would wear like their kind of these kind of ceremonial capes too. Um, so, but I'm leaning more towards what this person here is saying, where the European leaders depicted wearing capes, because if you think of like the 18th century and how they would depict certain leaders, you would see a few of them actually wearing capes. So that's probably where the reference is coming from. But then
yeah,
it could
because
also be a double reference, like what you're saying with like Ireland, and then wearing capes like that in the cold weather.
because like okay, then I would ask, just on a world leader front, it's like okay, are we mixing references or are we trying to meld them together? Because like obviously like he's got military jackets in there as well, so it does kind of make sense where it's like
Yeah,
he's got military jackets, like even the cropped suit jackets as well, blazers are partial reference of tails. So morning suits and everything like that, like he's got morning suit references all over here, and that makes sense. So are we like making formal wear casual? Is that like the kind of story that
right,
he's trying to tell?
right. I think so. I think so. I think that's what he's doing. Um, and he's also trying, I feel like part of what he's trying to do also is trying to modernize historical clothing. So he's trying to make historical clothing relevant in a modern context by styling it with modern clothes. Do I think people are going to wear that? Absolutely not. I can't see anyone wearing a coat that apart from fashion people, but we're talking about Dior. This is a brand that's multi-billion-dollar company. They're not going to make, significant money selling 18th century inspired coats. You know what I mean? So I don't think like the publics are going to take that. I think that's just more of like a concept, right? It's even like here, like, tying these sort of scarves that people would wear historically with like, this basically looks like a pajama shirt. And are these
with the
pajama pants? No,
piping.
they look more like a tracksuit, more so. It's like a tracksuit with sneakers and then a pajama shirt. And that this look is all over the place, to be fair. This look is
Yeah,
a bit all over the place.
that's what I mean with like the certain parts of the styling, like the capes with the casual wear and then the outerwear inside outwear or whatever it's called. So I wonder, like, it makes me wonder about certain things, and I want to read more about the collection partially because of that.
I love that the little waistcoats are back, very 1990s. I do love a waistcoat, to be honest. A waistcoat's always welcome and nice. Even like the jumper on the back, we've seen this from JW Anderson before. So he's bringing some of these elements, rolling up the trousers once again, playing with the styling, the capes once again. These shoes are quite interesting, like the shape of the boots. I want to see what the back looks like. Fisherman sandals once again, sort of like a jumpsuit with a tie.
See, I like those Mary Janes though. The jellies.
Yeah.
The jellies are good. I need a pair of Mary Janes.
Yeah, I'm curious as to why this isn't buttoned to the top, like historically. It's kind of like trying to make formal wear casual in a way.
Yeah.
Which goes once again to him talking about like, dressing up and dressing down and mixing things, right? That's an interesting concept. I also like the stripes because obviously the stripes are sort of a reference to like the teasers, like where Basquiat was wearing like that striped tie and then Mbappe was wearing like a similar tie. So they have these sort of like stripy ties, and which is kind of a reference to that too. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, like
Slippers.
the tan jacket is like interesting.
These always do well for Dior. I mean, what sells for Dior right now, footwear-wise, are those Dior runners. A lot of people, especially if we're talking about menswear, a lot of men have those Dior runners. So now they're trying to make, some more different iterations, different shapes. That makes a lot of sense commercially.
Yeah, this is so interesting. What? Yeah, the untucked jacket with the shirt with the shorts and the flared collar with a tie.
And yeah.
Just reminds me of like one of like my schoolmates like that would play rugby and would never wear trousers even if it's raining, fam.
And then once again, it's a reference back to even like the Andy Warhol and the Basquiat and because look, if you look at the styling, look at his collar.
Yeah.
Look at his collar. One collar is normal, and then the tie goes over the other collar. So I think partially why Jonathan Anderson is playing with the collar with the tie. Part of it is referencing this visually. So yeah, when you go back, it kind of makes more sense. Let's keep going through the looks. Crop gilet. It's quite funny. When I think of like any commentary on social class and then there are gilets, I just think of Succession.
Is that a cold as well? With the no, it's not. That's actually a pair of shorts.
No. It's a pair of shorts.
That's a pair of
I
shorts.
think, yeah, it's a pair of shorts. Just
Yeah.
kind of
Oh, they are
blending in
cool.
with the
Is it the same color, or is it
It's
totally?
not.
It's not.
It's a
Oh
different shade
wow,
of blue. Slightly,
that
ever
is
so
yeah.
slightly.
It's slightly. That's what I thought.
Ever
My eyes were
so
playing tricks
slightly.
on me.
And then you have, once
Yo,
again, one of
so
his
it's
different.
almost a chord. Interesting.
One of his different iterations of the book tote.
What do you
Is
think of the book
styling.
tote?
I just don't really care for it. So me personally, I'm a very practical person because everywhere I go, I need to carry my camera gear and things like that. So to be honest, I never look good wearing a bag. How good a bag looks is not really a consideration personally to me. However, I could never use a Dior book tote because it's not safe enough. Like it's open. I need something that like zips and has like 15 compartments.
No, that's real. That's real. Is
I
it a
also just
budget?
think it's overpriced. It's just like a really good quality canvas tote bag. Like I could just go to someone like a friend and get them to make it for me, the same quality and customize it myself for a fraction of the price. So it doesn't make any logical sense to me to ever buy something like that. But I understand why it sells well though. It's like an easy entryway into the world of Dior.
Yeah, no. Like, okay, cross
I've
comparison.
noticed, right, a lot of luxury brands this season. I talked about this in the last stream when we looked at the Pharrell Williams LV show. A lot of these LVMH brands are doing like Vans and plimsolls, which I
Yeah.
find which I find to be a very, very insane cash grab. Reason being, as Dami, you would know when plimsolls were trending, they were like £5, maybe less, because it's such a cheap shoe to make, right? It's so easy to make. So it's like they're now selling shoes that are ultra easy to make. You can see there's absolutely no stitching whatsoever, no stitching lines whatsoever. So it's glued on like any cheap plimsoll van. So it's just like this is going to detach from your shoe the same way that Vans would, but they're going to charge you like 700 euros. I don't know. I just think that the cutting, this is a sign like of them just cutting more and more corners. And like you saying some of these are recession indicators, I totally see what you mean.
I like the callback. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. You can. I saw the simple plimsoll thing as well, and I was wondering if we're gonna stay there because yeah, it's a bit much, you know.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, people want to dress simpler, therefore we're going to do what exactly? Make things even cheaper than we used to. That's
Yeah.
what's it called again? Shrinkflation.
Yeah.
So you're gonna keep it the same price, but you're gonna make it for even cheaper. Fairs. I hear you.
No, they are Vans authentic, like literally, like there's no. But that's what I said earlier. I remember Dami to call back once again when I said that a lot of these brands don't really, apart from Balenciaga, have any ideas on like unique footwear. They just reference what they see, which is why it's always like a reference to something. Like these are literally Vans, or even the way it's constructed. I even thought because it's Dior, they'll stitch it all the way around, make it the construction a bit more substantial. They're like, hell no, we're trying to maximize profit margins.
bro. And the funny thing is, there could even be a stitch line, but they decided to just do the black ink around it to reference what's supposed to be there, right?
Right.
But yeah, that's vulcanized rubber as well. So like this, it's made exactly like a van without the stitching. So yeah. And
Yeah,
plus,
you've
like I
got some of
remember
the
when
military coat
fashion, like
references.
the fashion Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram made a big deal about the footwear designer from Loewe going to Dior,
Right.
and then yo, we kind of count our chickens, in it. You gotta count them chickens.
These brands are fast fashion for the oligarchs. I mean, those vans, those Dior vans, we're gonna call them, that is definitely fast fashion type shit. Like that's the kind of shit that they could find a manufacturer for vans and get that same manufacturer to just churn out those sneakers, literally.
If we see them in stores,
There's
I'd be surprised, and I would also be sad. I'd be
yeah.
sad because why? JW
Yeah,
Anderson.
we've got the Dior house slippers once again.
Them
So
slippers
there's a
are
lot
nice.
of in this collection. There's lots of product that, you know, a lot of runway shows, it doesn't end up in the stores. No, a lot of this stuff, minus the 18th century references, will be 100% be in stores, especially all the footwear. All these cable knits with the Dior logo knitted, like embroidered, these are going to be on the shop floor 100%. And they're
Yeah,
probably going
that's
to
on a
sell
mannequin.
like crazy. Literally, that
So
is literally going to be on the mannequin.
so what? JW. No, I was about to say JW Anderson. So Dior is gonna be competing with J Crew. That's so interesting.
That's insane. You already know the quality control on these plimsolls are going to be diabolical. Yeah, I mean, we saw what happened with the tote bags, with the book totes. The vans are going to cost $1,200. And yeah, the coat definitely is gorgeous, 100%.
But look,
And
minus the coat.
it's also like it looks wool, but this is like JW Anderson. He loves knitwear. Like he just loves using knitwear. I like the layering though. I kind of like this piece too, this leather piece. And then they have a tie that's matched with the shirt, and he's copied the styling from Basquiat.
Okay, I've got a question because when Pharrell did that all over the LV show the last time,
Did what?
you had something to say about that. Use the
When
same
he did
reference
what?
over and over and over again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Like the
don't like it
lobster,
in this
like
collect.
30 lobsters.
Oh no,
I remember
I
when he
so let
said
me tell you, because I'm consistent. I critique JW Anderson doing it. So earlier, I'm not sure if you were here. I said first of all, the tie thing that they're doing, like the 18th century, this is the way they used to tie ties type thing, is overdone. It's way too much. It doesn't have as much impact when they put it on damn near 80% of the looks. And some of the looks, it just looks odd. It just shouldn't even be there. So that's one. Two, I talked about the sneakers. It just coming across like a cash money grab because they're just slapping the sneakers on everyone, not just on every model. JW Anderson himself was wearing the sneakers. So if there's any sign that there's a kind of what they're pushing, the cash grabby vans, obviously I've been very critical about this. So no, I'm very balanced. Just because I like JW Anderson doesn't mean that his collections are
no,
beyond
first,
critique.
first. No. I must have missed the tire one because when I saw it, I was just kind of like, oh, this is happening bears.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was like, oh,
Do you know do you know how it comes across? So every time I see a collection, right, where one idea is overdone rather than like telling a more cohesive story, it just means you need to edit. When if you have too many looks that look the same on a runway show, that could be 2 looks instead of 10, if that makes sense. So it just needs editing, or just don't have the same elements all the over and over and over again in different colors. Because we
yeah.
don't need to see that on the runway. We're going to see that in the showroom and in the shop floor. All you need to do is show us like 2 different colorways so we can kind of see like how you could style it with a light color and a dark color. If you give us the same knitted piece in white, green, red, yellow, and blue on the runway, it's kind of like editing. It needs editing.
Do you know what's interesting about that as well? It's like if this was a Loewe show, he would have done that not the tie thing as if it was attached to the actual color of the shirt. So it would be an
Oh
extension
yeah,
of the shirt
of the
and it would be
shirt,
a
yeah.
whole one, yeah. But unfortunately, because it's not Loewe, well, not unfortunate, but like because it's not
Yeah, I know
Loewe,
what you mean.
yeah. It's just like, oh, you kind of have to do this because it's Dior. So now we can have a tie and a shirt so that we can recession max. That's
That's funny. This is very interesting. You know, like using like the Nehru collar, but the fabric is like a pajamas fabric. Interesting.
I love
Also, what
those.
do you think of this was the case with the Louis Vuitton show, less so with the Dior show, but we're seeing the Indian elements. What do you think of fashion all of a sudden having a really hard push on like India as a market? Of course, we talked about the business of this in past live streams, how it's one of the fastest growing economies. I think they're the 4th biggest economy in the world. Don't quote me on that, but I know they're definitely top 5. So key they're seeing that it's a market. Do you think that they're going to really, really tap into the Indian market properly, or do you think that they won't be able to do it authentically?
Oh, okay. So that's a different compound question than I thought you were gonna give me. Did do I think that they're going to try 100%, right? That's a billion people there. You but this is the thing, right? Like the way Indians do ostentatious or even like wealth is just different. Like everyone now references that Indian wedding that it was like I think it felt like it went on for a month, the one that Rema performed at, right? And it was like
Yeah.
billions spent, the Kardashians were there, everyone who was anyone was there, right? So the way that they do it, they don't do this, whatever this is, they don't do this very much. Like the ones that I know that do it are the doctors and the lawyers, the ones that
Yeah.
are very subdued and very Western orientated. So to answer your question and to not drag it, it's like I think they would try, but then they would also have to bend to that market, right? Whereas the Chinese market doesn't mind just like grabbing stuff from the West because it's cheaper over here than it is over there and just doing it that way. But like
Yeah,
because yeah,
I personally think I was going to say the only way they can authentically tap into the Indian market is if they make separate collections for India, because I don't think any of this stuff works. First of all, this is a spring summer collection. There's hella knitwear and coats and stuff. That's not going to work. Also, Indians are like Nigerians, to be honest. Like I have so many Indian friends, and I feel like the reason why I get on with so many Indians is because there's so many parallels to like Nigerian culture, like down to the weddings, how like ostentatious they are, down to like how both cultures wear a lot of colors. You know, the kind of sandals we wear. You know, there's like uncle sandals. They wear those in India. They wear the same ones in
yeah,
Nigeria.
fam.
So if you want to tap into like the Indian or like the like Nigerian market, those kind of markets, right? The high society there, they want gold embroidered into their coats, right? They want, you know,
Trust
something
me,
more
24
colorful,
carat
something more, you know what
pinstripes.
I mean? Like 24 karat gold, you know, put into the garments. All this stuff is
Yo,
not going to hit for that market.
24 karat gold pinstripe sounds crazy, but if you've ever been to Nigeria or India, it is not. I remember I had an uncle once. I was like, "Yo, remember if you ever tell anyone about my house, make sure you tell them this isn't tile, this is marble. They should know the difference." And I was like, "Why is he talking to me about tiles versus marble?" But yeah, even though it looks like tile to the naked eye, it's marble. Get it correct. But yeah, like
100%.
that's just like a microcosm of like what Nigerians are like sometimes, and like it's like exactly like you said, like just with the sheer amount of Indian friends and Desi friends I have, it's like yeah, they do it just like we do it. We like to do it big and doing I guess like major layering, wearing tweed and all of these other things. It's a bit different for us if we're not over here. Is that a tails jacket? Oh yeah, it's like a small tails.
Yeah.
But yeah, they need to penetrate the market. A second show would make sense. I forgot what season was it. Where they did one show in India like 2 years ago or something like that.
That
I
was
forgot. What season.
Dior. That was
Yeah,
Maria
yeah,
Curia. That was the collection where she collaborated with Indian artisans and stuff. And she was
yeah,
highlighting Indian craft, which it did seem a bit too little too late, because Indian craft is something that has, like, everyone knows in India, they have extremely high levels of craftsmanship. And like a lot of the best embroiderers are in India. Like everyone knows that. So it's like it's interesting that you're just telling us now that you tap into it, but you know.
bro. Literally, like even with the
Like Dries Van Noten, for example,
yeah,
has been highlighting Indian craft for years, like since the 90s. So Dior doing it when they did it, it just is like, I don't really care for. I like that they're putting money in the pockets of the Indian artisans, I must say. But in terms of like them trying to give themselves credit for highlighting Indian craft, I just thought,
bro.
I don't
I
think you
feel
deserve credit for that.
I feel like they need to take it a step further. I think that they need to put the manufacturing and actually put pockets in, put money in the pockets of the actual Indians that run the businesses. Because one thing that I learned, especially in the tech industry, which is like one of the biggest sectors in India, right? What the reason why, you know, there were so many billionaires made in like 2023, 2022, 2024, is that they need the regulations. So they put regulations on Facebook and all of these other tech companies because they wasn't actually putting money in the pockets of Indians. So if LVMH brings manufacturing there and says, okay, we've been using your embroidery techniques for decades, centuries now, we will actually pull it over here. I feel like India will take to that more, and being made in India would actually be a
Right.
thing, like actually put value to the economy, because they care
Right.
more about that than they do, oh, you're just highlighting us for one season. Exactly like you said, that it's too late, too little too late for them. You need to now, you know, aid the economy somehow by putting the manufacturing jobs there some way. But that
Yeah.
sounds a little too much, but India has power, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, something I thought about with this knitwear that's kind of referencing like the Aran jumpers, otherwise called fisherman's jumpers. Um, so something just little historical tidbit. Originally, the jumpers were knitted with wool without washing, so they could retain the natural oils from the animals. That way, the garments stay water resistant, right? And even when they're wet, they're still like wearable. I wonder if he's put any sort of like technical element to it to kind of talk about that or speak to that rather than just like a normal um, cable knit. But that we'll have to find out about that later. It better be silk and not poly. I'd like to believe it's silk. I do love these waistcoats though, I'm not gonna lie. I would wear the shit out of these.
I wonder what techniques they use for the wool though. Wait, is it wool or is it?
Are you talking about the knitwear or what are you
Yeah,
talking about?
the knitwear. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because like there's different types of wool, isn't there? And I'm just thinking, like, even with the trousers, those look woolish, but I don't know. Like, I'd need to see it up close. But the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Indian wool specifically, the one that looks like linen sometimes, could be able to, like, it's one of the lightest weights and it's best worn in like Mediterranean hot climates, isn't it? So
Yeah,
like having that type of wool being used, even though it's still wool, so it's kind of good for you know, other
yeah.
climates, like the moisture wicking and the insulation is valuable in it. So yeah, I wonder if they actually use the Indian techniques as well as, do you know what I mean?
And even it's just down to like visually or kind of what texture you want, because to be honest, there are so many different types of wool. I can't even begin to get into
Yeah,
it. I mean,
exactly.
like
Yeah.
any animal that just grows fur in that texture, it's basically a type of wool. So that could be anything from like sheep to like goats, different types of goats to I think even rabbits sometimes can have that texture, even like camels and stuff. So yeah, it's if you go into different types of wool, we'll be here forever. Because even like
Real.
goats, there's so many species of goats that have so many different types of wool. Yeah, so it's
Bro,
endless, endless conversation.
side note, I was actually learning about the wool that certain goats in Nigeria make, which is
Right.
actually quite interesting, and the leather as well. Just like you said, it's very raw. Like the types of, even the types of goats that are farmed and raised in Nigeria is just way different than the ones raised over here. So yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. And like just the way they live really affects the quality of the fur too. Um, like what they eat. It's so many different factors. I'm just speed running. I want to see if there's any details I'm missing. Once again, knitwear with the capes, trying to modernize the historical references once again. The waistcoat, I really love the waistcoat. They're slightly too cropped, slightly a bit too cropped. If they were slightly longer, then I would buy those for sure.
Bro, I was thinking that about the waistcoats for time. I was wondering, like, it's mad cropped, and waistcoats generally should cover the belt loops. Obviously, if you want to break the rules, that's fine. But like, I don't know. Like on a commercial setting, it's like, are we saying waistcoats over blazers? Like, is that the type of
Because I just
algorithm?
think when I think of like men are very, because when you think of menswear, this hardware is crazy, by the way.
Yeah,
But
no.
when you think of menswear, men are just so basic, bro. Like the average man is so scared of experimenting with their style in any way that a cropped waistcoat wouldn't even do anything. It wouldn't sell because most men just would not be willing to wear like a waistcoat with a cropped fit.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, it's just
yeah. And just to say, though, that's military. That's military hardware on a shirt, which is like
yeah.
so
This reminds me of
to
you
me.
know what? Let me show you guys an image from the exhibition that I went to in the Kensington Palace, where it was all about like dressing for the court, and all these historical. It looks like the exact construction of some of the court dress in the 18th century. This is in Britain I'm talking about. I know he was referencing French court dress, but there are some like similarities across like the clothing and the way it's designed and all that sort of stuff. Let me just find this image and then I'll share it. Dressing for the court. I love a crop waistcoat, so 1990s. For most men, the color is already pushing it.
It ain't wrong. Ain't wrong.
It's true though. It's true. They're using Vans Authentics and Melissa Spider shoes. Buy from the OG brands, not the overcharged Dior. Yeah, I mean it. I just don't really see any reason to buy Dior Vans other than being a brand whore. If I'm going to speak very plainly, the only kind of person, the kind of person that buys Dior Vans is just like literally a brand whore because it's the exact same shoe. It's like you literally just want the Dior version because it's Dior. Like there's no argument to make that, oh no, it's because the referencing and the idea. No, they're Vans.
The
They just say
references,
Dior on them.
bro, for real. The Melissa Spider shoes, though, getting those in menswear, very tough. So I get it. If you're wearing jellies as a man and you can't find your size, then I understand getting the like more high fashion one because they're making specific. They're pushing something that is, namely, a woman's wear thing into a menswear size.
Right. No, I literally bought a cropped Tom knitted waistcoat this week. Fire. I see what Dolce Jeans said. Shout out to Dolce Jeans. Everyone subscribe to his channel. He makes really good fashion content. But I guess this was an interesting start. Not sure where this collection was going. Yeah, I mean, I stopped doing the thing. I used to judge designers, and Dami, you would know this very harshly on debuts, but I think I've calmed down with that because it's like it's a palette cleanser. It's like, let's see 3, 4, 5 collections deep. That's when I can start making my deep analysis. And if I need to be positive, I will be. If I need to be harsh, I will be. But for now, it's just really a palette cleanser.
I will say though, Kim Jones came out the gate running.
He did.
He came out the gate running.
He did.
Yeah. It
For
was
the
fire.
proportion, just drag this collection on Instagram. I mean, if someone is dragging it, like I said, I'm seeing it as a palette cleanser. It is ultra commercial. It's not as playful as what I would normally come to expect from JW, but then we have to remember a different audience. But I do think like there are some people, if I'm going to be like honest, there are some people that have said, oh my God, JW Anderson just destroyed fashion, blah, blah, blah. If I'm going to be honest, I prefer like Willie Chavaria's collection to this. There's a few collections this season that I've seen. I like Wells Bonner more than this. So the whole shutdown fashion week and stuff, I think people are just saying that because it's Dior and they want the next brand partnership, to be honest. I know a lot of people that have worked with Dior that are saying that online right now. But yeah, it's a palette cleanser. It's cool. There's some cool ideas referencing to his Irish heritage, the 18th century historical references. He's referencing historical Dior couture silhouettes. That's really cool. But when you look at the crux of it, you can see the product they're trying to push, the sneakers, the Vans, all that sort of stuff.
You know what's funny, yeah? Or well, not necessarily funny, but like it is part of this. Oh, we're talking about Dior menswear because Kim Jones made us care about Dior menswear. Do you know what I mean? And before that, like there wasn't very many reasons to talk about Dior menswear.
Definitely in the mainstream, because I mean the only other person I think is Eddie Simon, to be fair.
Yeah, no.
On the menswear side, it's really only Eddie Simon and Kim Jones that have like captured the zeitgeist in terms of menswear at Dior. The rest, like Chris Van Ash, love his work, but I don't really think he captured the zeitgeist the way Kim or Eddie Simon did.
Yeah, the coverage, like, because the coverage that we've had for the past like so long, it's been, like, and talking about menswear is just new in general. Well, we've been doing it for so long, I guess we can't call it new, but like in comparison to women's wear, it's just like night and day in it. So, like, I think during the September issue, we're gonna find let's find our feet there.
This is the actual exact color of the Basquiat tie.
That is hard though. I can't.
And then
lie.
this like sort
that
of
layer is hard.
Drooping color detail there.
I might copy that. I don't know how, but I will. No, that's like a shawl scoop neck.
Yeah, using the lapel.
Yeah, see, that's funky. That's what we know from him. The joyous.
That's what we expect from JW. This is like the playfulness that like we like from JW.
Yeah. That bag is low-key kind of tough in terms of fabric.
They're really pushing bags for men hard. A lot of these brands, I get it. The bag industry is so untapped for men. There's so many industries that are untapped for men, to be honest. The beauty industry is super untapped for men. Do you know, I read a stat that more women buy men's fragrances than men do. And every time I go to buy perfume in a shop, and I asked, like, literally, I bought my aunt a fragrance for her birthday like a week ago. And I went in the store and I was like, what do you recommend? Because I'm not too knowledgeable about women's fragrances. So I was like, what do you recommend? She was like, to be honest, I wear men's fragrances. So I can recommend stuff to you, but I personally don't wear women's fragrances. Like, so many women wear men's fragrances. So it's like trying to get more men to buy men's fragrances, trying to get more men to do stuff in the beauty industry, trying to get more men to buy different kinds of bags. Super untapped markets.
Yeah, like I know a lot of people on the street side love the Louis Vuitton rucksack, the Goyard messenger bag, and the pouch. But like those are like the staples in it, like for the people that do that type of stuff. So seeing if there's going to be more competitors is quite interesting, fairly. Yeah, I'll be interested to see what menswear actually do with bags, because like that's the switch in it. It's like women with pockets and then men with bags. Like it's like
I definitely agree that women definitely smell and look better than men, for sure. That's not even up for debate. I don't think that's up for debate.
Women are butterflies, it's jokes.
Even just statistically, more women buy fragrances than men. Like, men be stinking out here. Men be stinking up the room.
Yeah, there's not very many men whose fragrance choice that I like really, really, you know what I mean? But yeah, shout out to you.
Yeah, I agree with this, by the way. Like, there is no such thing as men's and women's fragrances. I'm totally with you because it's just the smell, but we're just talking about like commercially. But me personally, I don't really care if like there's a woman's fragrance or men's, fragrance label on something. If I like the smell, I'll buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember
Well, I'm
when
with you though. There's no such thing.
I was in the fragrance section at John Lewis one time, and then I was talking to them about my gel, and I was like, "Oh, is it a gift for someone, your sister or something?" I was like, "No, this is for me." I was like, "Oh yeah, no, these fragrances are unisex. They are." I was like, "Bro, come on."
They're so
I know.
used to men not buying fragrances. See what I mean? I told you, bro. Men stink. Men actually stink, bro. Men actually stink, bro. I literally, I'm in Paris right now. It was rush hour, and I was in the train, like coming back home. I just did like a few interviews, and bro, the whole train was just full of men coming back from work, and they all were stinking. Literally, the whole train just stank.
After a tough day's work, for sure.
Hey, there's a K-pop guy that famously wears Miss Dior, which I find hilarious. As a woman, I hate Miss Dior. Yeah, I don't like the smell of Miss Dior either. I don't really like it.
Look at what pure ounce roll. That's funny.
Men stink. IO 2025. On average, obviously, not every man stinks. Obviously, like I know someone's gonna hop in the comments. Oh my god, why are you bashing men? It's like no, not all men, but on average, men are a bit stinky. I think all of us can
Yeah,
agree.
yeah. Io, why do you hate being a man? that's
This is also very true, by the way. Women's hormones probably do different things with men's fragrances too. Very interesting topic. Yeah, I mean, the way a fragrance smells is really determined by obviously the fragrance itself, but also your skin chemistry. And obviously, considering like the kind of hormones that women have, yeah, it would kind of change the character of a lot of fragrances. So that's true. And shout out to what did I think Culture said that she wears men's fragrances too. So that was kind of proving my point that more women like wear men's fragrances than men do.
Honestly, I like women's fragrances a lot. Like I like the Prada one, the Paradox one. I used to wear actually I still have black opium. I don't wear it as much as I used to. But
Yeah.
yeah. But the bottles are just like mad sparkly.
Luke, you're gay, meaning gay men on average care more about their appearance than straight men. Because in straight men, they do like Danny, do you remember when you were younger and like you used to get bullied for caring about the way you look? Like I literally because I didn't know anything about skincare because men just don't care. It wasn't until I was like 18 that one of my female friends told me that you should use SPF. He's like, just because you're black doesn't mean you shouldn't use like SPF, right? That
Bro.
you should actually be using SPF. You should use like a face cream with SPF. Like I started doing that when I was 18.
Bro.
And
That's
even when I started doing it, all my friends used to like chat shit all the time. Oh, bro, like SPF. Oh. They used to make fun of me all the time. Literally.
yeah, no. Like I remember I was in the store and I was like I was walking around trying to find like which SPF to get. And I was like, I can't get SPF 50, and I'm not trying to like look white, like because like when we use the wrong lotion, it's like it tans our skin white, isn't it? Because they just
Yeah.
leave whatever it's called. But so I was waiting in Boots for this one black lady. And I was like, what SPF should I get, please? That doesn't, turn my skin white. And she was like, "Don't worry, La Roche Posay is downstairs." Da, da, da,
Yeah,
da.
the La
I was like,
Roche-Posay is the one.
yeah. I was like, okay, cool, thank you. But I remember I was waiting there for 15 minutes because
Yeah.
there was this one lady. She sent me upstairs. I was like, I looked at not the fragrances, the SPFs, and none of them were the ones that I was looking for. She ain't no.
Wait, Luke says it's a myth that gay men care more about their appearance than straight. I don't think it's a myth at all, to be honest. Obviously, anecdotal, but personal experience. I have loads of gay friends and then loads of straight friends. And the straight men don't care about how they look.
Bro.
And all my gay friends care about how they look. That being said, I work in fashion, and most of my gay friends are more on the fashion side. So that could also be like skewed, because obviously people that work in fashion care about their appearance. So it's like, it could be very
To be
skewed.
fair to you, like even like on the account of me working with a bunch of guys that like are wearing suits on a day-to-day basis, it's like there's guys that work as laborers all the way up to like guys that work in finance, right? And 99% of them don't even smell nice. 99% of them, they don't have, or should I say they don't have a smell. Let me say it like that. Like I'm not gonna say they all stink. I'm saying that they don't have like a fragrance that they're wearing. Like it was only recently where I was like, wait, I smelled the air. I was like, is that Tom Ford? And then the guy that was in front of me, he said, yeah. He was like, yeah. But
Micah, did Rihanna pay you? Micah sent us to use Fenty SPF.
definitely trying to get tickets to the after party somehow. This probably.
Yeah, I agree. There's nothing wrong with smelling neutral at all. It's more smelling bad that's an issue, for sure.
Yeah.
For
And
sure, for
like
sure, for
this the
sure.
thing though, it's like when you're outside and you're working and you're sweating all the time, it's like you're
It's
gonna have
very
a
hard to smell
yeah,
neutral.
yeah, exactly. You're just gonna have a hard time. And like, you know, I just know
Unless
about
you're using an antiperspirant, you're
oh,
spraying the perfume. Otherwise, when it gets really sweaty on a hot day, you're gonna stink.
bro, this is the
Unless
funny
you
thing,
have elite skin chemistry that you can sweat
bro.
balls and literally smell neutral. I don't know too many people like that, to
No.
be honest.
The problem is like even on the rainy days, like they end up sweating, isn't it? It's like, and that's kind of like the thing about it is like they can't help it. So it's like I don't blame straight guys at all when they don't smell nice, and it's like one of those things. It's just yeah, they try to smell neutral as much as possible, and it's fair. It's all right. I know bad guys are washing the gym though after a day's work.
Yeah, I know that too. Here they're talking more about some of the references on the Instagram page. The collection, Autumn Winter 1948 Haute Couture dinner dress, named Delft. Also, by the way, guys, watch this, right? This happens all the time on Instagram. It's so weird. But a lot of these runway collections, right, that I review, obviously I have to add my opinion because all the information is publicly available. Like literally, I talked about the references earlier, but like you can go on the Instagram, you can read the interviews. JW Anderson literally tells you, look, it has the bar suit, like everything is there. And he's even told you this is the masculine version, like it's all there. Now, when I eventually make my TikTok about this collection, probably tomorrow, because it's quote unquote late, because I like to actually collect my thoughts before I review collections, there's some annoying people in the comments that are always like, oh, you copied so-and-so creator, you're just stealing their ideas. And I'm always confused by that because I'm always like, don't these people know that all this information is like public? That's where everyone is getting this information from. Like, it's not rocket science. You just go to JW Anderson's page and then you look at what he says about the references. And people act like this is the hardest thing to find out, like it's the hardest information. It's so strange. But I'm just pointing this out now because someone is going to do it. And when it happens, I'm going to point it out and put it on my story and we're all going to have a good laugh. TikTok brain rot syndrome.
When they're yeah, this it's interesting. Shout out to TikTok though. I do like TikTok more now than I ever have. Fairly, I post on TikTok quite frequently now.
I'm not really on TikTok too much, but
Yeah,
I need to see what's going on over there.
there's not really much going on unless like you find the natives.
Yeah.
And yeah, I haven't gone native yet, but yeah, I'm part. I've got a crew. I got a nice little crew on TikTok. They're not necessarily fashion people. Fashion TikTok is way different than just like regular TikTok though.
Right.
I like that dress.
35 degrees summers are going to be the norm every year, especially in London. Men, you really need to invest in antiperspirant. I
Investing
don't
in
honestly don't have Sonny smelling
wait,
sweat.
wait,
I'm
wait,
half
wait.
Japanese.
I don't want to do this to men because like men love links. Like there's so many men out there that wear links
Lynx is
and it's
not
just
it though.
not enough. Yeah, it's just not
Yeah,
enough.
Lynx is not it, bro.
No, but like I want to say like they do try, you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. It's like it's not like
Lynx
oh everyone's out here
Lynx
chasing.
is for when you're like 14. Because I literally, yeah, people don't really get research. Yeah, I know it's really crazy. Brain rot. But the weird thing about this stuff, right, is that Lynx cost the same as like a very good cheap fragrance. And the fragrance would last longer. But you just don't realize that because the can of Lynx is like £3.50. So you think it's cheaper than a fragrance, but bro, it's an aerosol, bro. It goes shh,
Yeah.
and then you've used all of it in like 2 weeks, and then you have to buy another one. If you because fragrances can literally last you like 4, 5, 6 months. So if anything, Lynx is actually more expensive than a good fragrance. It's just
Way
like, bro,
more.
just get a good fragrance.
I remember using links after playing football or like PE and thinking it was like the thing. Like I remember when everybody was using Lynx Africa, I said I showed up with Lynx chocolate and I thought I was the man.
I
That's
used to love it. Lynx chocolate was the one. I used to love that.
Lynx chocolate was a bad boy. Like you knew what you were doing, and that's when I thought when I realized, oh, I like actually smelling nice. This isn't me just
Right.
trying to do something different. I just but yeah, no, man. As much as I know Lynx isn't enough, let me stop shouting. As much as I know Lynx isn't enough, like I think, yeah, they do try. I don't want to put this message out there that I don't think men try because we do. It's just like we do certain types of jobs that have us sweating a lot, and yeah,
Right.
it's just hard to smell neutral. And sometimes, you know, your girl likes it after a long day of work, you know, type beat.
Oh yeah. So I actually love dupe. I love the smell of dupe. It's kind of old school, but I like the way it smells. Also, dupe is very like it's a cheaper fragrance and it's very long lasting. So it's cool. Yeah, we have dupe.
But what about the Zara dupe culture that's penetrating men's fragrances as well?
I'm not
Like,
gonna lie, the Zara fragrances aren't bad.
yeah, like I know a bunch of guys that like that's their starter fragrances now. I
They're
don't know,
not bad at all.
like when I guess you and I started with like Armani and like Only the Brave and stuff like that, and they're starting with Zara fragrances. Obviously, our one was
Yeah.
way more expensive, unfortunately. But yeah, if I was just starting out, I'd start with Zara fragrances as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I have fragrance ingredients. Oh my God, should I do a show and tell? I'm gonna have to go
Yes,
to my room.
please. Yes,
But
please. I saw the
so
picture and I
quick,
was like,
yeah,
I should.
quick reference. If you check my Instagram story, you guys will see it. But I won't mention his name because he's a low key kind of guy. But I met up with a guy who's been subscribed to the channel for a while, who I talk to on Instagram all the time. He works in the perfume industry, so we always talk about like perfume and stuff. And he was so kind today to give me a whole perfume lesson on like different molecules and different raw materials that are commonly used in fragrances, telling me like what kind of fragrances they're used in, why they would be used. And he gave me a massive set of all these different raw materials to take with me. And he made me a custom fragrance, which was insane. So shout out to him. That was really
Wait,
nice
is it
of
who I
him.
think it is?
Who do you think it is? Post it in the private chat.
I'm gonna have to remember who he's at now. Gosh, give me a sec. But yeah, we met him in Paris last time.
Yeah. I think a lot of guys just don't know the concept of a good and cheap perfume exists, as it's usually viewed as an expensive hobby/investment. Yeah, this is a good point. This is probably the biggest issue because, like I said, if you actually do the maths, Lynx and all those like aerosol sort of fragrancy things are actually more expensive over time than just a good, like affordable fragrance. Like if you have something like Dupe does those massive ass 200 ml bottles that would literally last you 8 months. I can assure you it's cheaper than however much Lynx or Axe you're going to use in that time frame. And it's going to smell way better than Lynx or Axe. It's also going to last way longer on your skin. So it's like a no-brainer.
Yeah,
Good luck going through customs. Nah, I'll be fine. Eurostar, it's fine. Eurostar customs is lax.
What else? People like Dupe, Ralph Lauren. Like I know guys that love Ralph Lauren fragrances as well. The Polo ones, I mean. There's one other one outside of the Zara ones. Do you think Zara would be good for layering, by the way, the Zara fragrances?
I've never owned any of the Zara fragrances, but I know they're like decent because I have friends who have owned some of them. So I can imagine they'll be good at layering. And with layering, you just have to experiment to see what you like. So just mix different ones. I think it's good to use those kind of things.
I feel weird having Zara fragrances touch my skin. I don't know. Am I bad? Is that bad? I'm joking. I'm not elitist. Oh no! Oh my God.
Come on, sir.
I'm joking.
Luke, are you saying there's a timeout in the chat? There shouldn't be. There's no like the chat. No. I just checked. The time isn't timed or anything. Let me quickly go and show you these molecules. Then we'll talk about some like last minute thoughts on Dior, and then I shall be taking my leave because I need to make TikTok content for the kids. But you can, Dami, you can speak to the people while I'm away.
So let's see what the chat's saying. Yeah, no, the Zara is harsh on the skin. I'll be real. I don't even wear Zara clothes. Like I've got a Zara t-shirt. I got a couple of them. That's about it. I'll be real. Wait, and a jumper. I got 3 items from Zara, but it's hard. The Tom Ford Black Orchid is fire for sure. Question: if gang pull up, are you gonna back your? Yeah, that's the only lyric.
What do you think is what do you think is the type of spring summer fashion with this new weather norm? They're still making layered or somewhat heavy collect. Yeah, that needs to change. I think a lot of the fashion now, especially spring summer, needs to reflect that global warming is happening and countries are becoming hotter and hotter. We need more, like warm weather technology where the fabrics make you cool and stuff. Yeah, we need more of that than all this layering in these spring summer collections with all these coats and stuff.
Yeah, Michael wants to rise. He wants to rise.
Yeah, culture's a mod, by the way. So if she has the power to put you on time if she wants to.
Ombre leather. Oh, I don't know about that. Shout out to you. What do I think of the Basquiat references? Not very much, to be honest. And everyone knows I love JW Anderson. I think, like I've said before, I feel like the best designers come out of the UK generally. I know some people thought I was a hot take. I wanted to jump down my throat last time when I said that, but it is what it is. In the past 10 years, I don't think you could really. But anyways, to the
Imani, do you know I haven't anointed you with the mod abilities? Imani would abuse this. I feel like Imani would abuse that shit.
Yeah.
Imani would basically just like I feel like she'll time out people for bant. Which is hilarious to be fair, but
she even said hell yeah. That's real.
See? I know. I already know.
Your chat would be empty.
Chat would be empty. Oh my gosh, that's funny. But let me show you guys this stuff quickly. So yeah, it's divided. So what he gave me, it's divided into different things. Because I gave him a list of like stuff I want to smell. So these are like the citruses. So there's like yuzu from Japan. You've got bergamot, which is obviously very common in perfumery. Lemon oil from Italy, and obviously cedra, which is a very common citrus used in fragrances. Here you've got the like more like resinous stuff and like vanilla. There's a lot of stuff going on there. You have the more like earthy stuff. I think that's what this is. No, these are the florals. So like jasmine, rose oil, all this kind of stuff, neroli, and then different synthetics that they use to synthesize floral notes and stuff. And then yeah, this is the earthy stuff, like the patchouli and vetiver oil and all this sort of stuff. And then he made me this fragrance, which is absolutely amazing. It smells really nice. It smells amazing. And he's called it From Paris. So I'm always going to remember this. I almost don't ever want to use this fragrance because it's like, I don't want it to finish because it's like really cool and sentimental. But then I want to use it because then he made it. So it's like, I'm kind of in limbo.
Yeah, that's shout out to the bespoke fragrances.
Actually, the best clothing for hot climates is black and loose. Be interesting to see if that happens. Is black the best clothing for hot climates though? It's going to absorb all the heat. Loose, I definitely agree with you with that one though.
It depends. Like it depends on the fabric. The color not so much. It does depend on the fabric fairly.
Yeah.
I think
Let's see. Have you had the chance to tap with any book/magazine stores? No, I've not had the time. Honestly, the whole time I've been in Paris, I've just been interviewing and going to shows. I've not even had time. I literally have been sleeping 3 hours a day. Today, I'm probably going to sleep another 3 hours because I have content to make. And let me see what I have to do today. I probably have an early start, as always. Okay, so I need to be up by 9 a.m. and it's already 1:20. Yep, so I'm probably going to end up sleeping 2 to 3 hours. When am I dropping the interviews? It just depends. I'm really backlogged on content right now. So I have a polymotor video to make first, and then I have like interviews to edit and then post, and then other videos. Like I went to the Balenciaga exhibition, like the retrospective Demna exhibition. I want to make a YouTube video about it. So that's a video that's in the works too. But none of that can literally be made until I'm back in the UK. It won't happen in Paris. I'm not editing anything in Paris. I don't have time for that. So all I can do is the streams, and that's about it. Someone is asking me, Micah is your PA. Micah's not. We're contemporaries. We work together. I help him with his stuff, and then in exchange, he helps me with my stuff. I'm grassing on you at Eurostar Customs. You'll be there for 3 days.
He said I use nepotism to get my PA role.
That's
Hilarious.
crazy. Did Demi say let me edit the videos? Hey man, I've got some great interviews coming. I mean, one of the ones that I really want you guys to see. I'll give you guys like a sneak peek, obviously unedited, for the streamers. Give you guys a little sneak peek because why not? Why not?
Right at the end of the stream, it's a nice little parting gift.
Exactly.
Specific elements from the culture that I grew up with. So I grew up in playing pool when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I grew up playing mahjong,
Oh, wow.
and gambling. I grew up playing that Vietnamese craps game.
Yeah.
So I'm celebrating.
So let me pause this quickly to give context, because most of you might be like, "Who's that? Who's that?" So I'm not sure how many of you are aware of the brand Lu Dan, but it's a brand that I've been following for a while, and I'm like really into it, really into it. It's founded by someone called Hung La. He's a designer that he worked at Balenciaga under Nicolas Gasquier. He worked at Celine with Phoebe Philo, and then started the brand Lu Dan. It's quite a new brand actually. They started in 2022 during COVID, so very, very new, but it's really, really cool. So I'm really happy that I was able to interview him, because I think his stuff is really, really interesting. So I can't wait for you guys to see that interview for sure. That was a really, really cool interview. Yeah, he went to school with like Matthew Blasi. He went to school with, who else did he go to? Micah, who else did he say he went to school with? It's in the interview anyway, but like he went to Antwerp, Royal Academy of Fine Arts. So I just think it's a cool interview because once again, I haven't done a lot of this recently, but I still want to talk about the stories of designers that I like, but also aren't like the major brands. Because that's, you know, that's why we do what we do. We're trying to document all the designers that I think make cool stuff. Money says this ain't ever coming out. I'm not Micah. I'm not Micah. My videos are definitely coming out. The interview is definitely coming out.
Sure,
And yes, this is true. Today we did film over 4 hours of content. This is true. This is very, very true. He said, "I cannot believe you're leaking this." Hey, W leak. W leak. It's only for the streaming audience. So yeah, we have, this is a little sneak peek of kind of what we've been doing in Paris. But yeah. The tier list, that's coming soon also, but once again, I don't have time for that now that I'm in Paris. But once I'm back in the UK and I edit all that content, then we'll get to the tier list. Clip farming. That's funny. Yeah, we can drop the law in the Discord. After this, I might hop into the Discord and we can drop some law. Ludan's price point is very appealing. I've always been curious about the quality. Yeah, so that would be good when I drop the interview for you to kind of look into it, because that should be really, really cool. That should be cool. But yeah, on that note, we shall be taking our leave. I will be hopping straight into the Discord. So if you're not in the Discord, definitely join. Link should be in the description. But that is the rundown on JW Anderson's debut. I'm looking forward to women's wear season and seeing what he does on that front. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. If you have any other thoughts, obviously comment that down below, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video.